Greetings and welcome, sports fans, to another episode of StraussNet Sports Radio. This is the Super Bowl 58 edition show. We have the Chiefs and the 49ers coming up. You did hear from me recently in regards to the Cardinal Caravan. I did the Cardinal Caravan mini interview show. But before that, yes, I was on a bit of a hiatus. I said I wasn't going to, and the 2023 year was thin for me. I was busy. We'll try to do better in 24. But let's recap where we were. Let's go all the way back to our previous episode, and that was in October, a World Series preview between the Arizona DIamondbacks and the Texas Rangers. The Rangers ended up winning that World Series. It was a good World Series. It was a World Series that a lot of people didn't necessarily want, which I thought was weird because everyone complains, oh, I want a new team in the World Series. I don't just want the Dodgers or the Yankees. Well, we got it. We got Texas and we got Arizona. And I think what people mean is they still want those big market teams where all the superstars are, that everyone knows the team and their history, but they don't want the Dodgers and the Yankees. Well, we got Texas and Arizona. And you know what? The stars shined. Zach Gallen was really good. We saw Corbin Carroll, Tommy Pham. Then they all put up for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they're going to be good. For the Rangers, we saw Adolis Garcia continue his show, and then he got hurt. Corey Seager, the game one of that World Series was fantastic. It was back and forth. Sewald comes in to close it out for the Diamondbacks. Seager hits a home run, and a guy who's usually kind of professional and emotionless lets out a scream as the ball leaves his bat, and you could see it was gone. And then Adolis Garcia walks it off in extra innings. It was a fantastic game. Diamondbacks win Game 2. The Rangers ended up winning Game 3, 4, and 5. Scherzer, who was rehabbing in the major leagues in the playoffs, ends up getting hurt. His back ends up hurting. We see, Gray comes in. It was very interesting because if you look at the Cardinals, the way they're constructed this year, and as many of you don't know, if many of you know or don't know, they signed Sonny Gray, not Jordan Montgomery. We're still waiting to see if maybe they sign Montgomery. They have Gray, Michaelis, they signed Lance Lynn, and Kyle Gibson to go with Steven Matz. And Gibson and Lynn are guys who are good in the clubhouse. They're good teammates, very good guys around the league. They eat a lot of innings, and the team needed that. But their stats haven't been that great the last couple of years. Well, last year for Lynn. A couple of years ago, both of those guys were all-stars. But the Rangers took Nathan Eovaldi and Jordan Montgomery as the top of the rotation and then kind of pieced it together and won a World Series with it. Well, I keep saying, if the Cardinals could get a guy like Montgomery back, you have Sonny Gray, who's fantastic, and I was really excited to see them get him. And then a Montgomery, and then Michaelis and company. They have a good rotation. As of now, the Cardinals look like a team that could win the division. The division has gotten, at the moment, worse, but you never know. Spring training's upon us. So, like I said, the Rangers won the World Series. They are not quite as strong as they were at the end of the year, and they're going to miss in Scherzer and DeGrom for the first half of the season, but they'll be back. With that lineup, you got to think that the Rangers can compete still. The Cardinals, they added to their rotation, maybe not as much as fans would like. They added Kittredge to the bullpen, along with some other pieces. I think the Cardinals are improved. Here's the thing about the Cardinals, and I could do a whole episode about this, and maybe that's what we do in March, the spring training edition. We talk more about the Cardinals. But here's the quick Cardinal preview, because I do want to get to the Super Bowl. That's the meat and potatoes of this episode. The Cardinals, last year, everything went as bad as it could. So law of averages say they're going to be better this year no matter what. Are they a World Series contender? I wouldn't say that at this moment. But a guy like Michaelis should be better. There should be fewer injuries. They handled some things poorly. I love the Sonny Gray edition. I like Lance Lynn. I like the Matt Carpenter edition. I think Kyle Gibson was repetitive, redundant. I think he's similar to what Lance Lynn can offer you. I'd really still like to see them go out and get Montgomery. And then, they'd have 6 starters, but someone will get hurt eventually and figure it out from there. But they may not. The Cardinals can compete. They can win a playoff series, I think. Are they great? No, but their lineup can make up for some of that pitching still. Their pitching's better than it was last year. We'll see. The Red Sox have done nothing but subtract, although I did like the trade that got them Vaughn Grissom. I think that was fantastic. He is the Chris Sale trade. They traded the last year of Chris Sale, who's aging and been hurt, for Vaughn Grissom, who is a middle infield prospect for the Braves, who came up initially last year or 2 years ago and was really, really good. So I like that trade, but they've gotten bad pretty much everywhere else. So spring training is upon us in like a week. The spring training hats actually dropped today. Cardinals hat looks like their 2016 one, red hat with the bird on it. Red Sox have a red hat with a blue bill and a white bee. So I'm ready for my two teams to get to spring training. I enjoyed riding the bandwagon of the Rangers last October, and I wish them well. And I will still be kind of following them because they're a fun team and a fun group of players. But no, I didn't add them to my favorite teams or anything like that, despite getting a little bit of swag after winning some bets on the postseason of the World Series. You might be able to hear me smiling. It was a nice pick. I got some pats on the back from friends for picking them. And I still think they could win it again, even with what they've got going on. But yeah, spring training's coming up. We'll get into baseball next time. I just kind of wanted to bridge the gap between baseball and now. The Blues fired Craig Berube after a very inconsistent start. It left me questioning. I thought this was supposed to be a retool, and they're treating it like there should be a playoff appearance coming. And I guess the feel is that they should be competing for a playoff spot is where their hopes are. They want to get a wild card or one of the top 3 spots in their division. With this roster, I don't know if that's possible. I feel like they're still lacking some pieces. We've seen them play great, and we've seen them play horrible. I'm hot and cold on Drew Bannister, who replaced Craig Berube. He's never been an NHL coach before. There's things about him I like. I think he's good systematically. I think we haven't really seen his systems yet. They'll put him in. He'd put them in next year if he's still a coach. He's got the interim tag, and Doug Armstrong said that he will be evaluating Bannister, but also other options. So there's no, this isn't a definite. I think next year's team will be a lot more exciting because there's going to be a lot of young players. The Blues could make the playoffs. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of how Bannister came in and started like benching some players mid-game as sort of punishment. I've never really been a big fan of that, but the team seems to respect him, and there's something to be said for that. Like the guys, they don't. There were times where even last year, some of the younger guys were frustrated with how Craig Berube handled them, and I don't think that should have been the case. I put that on the players. But the locker room seems to respect Bannister and his methods, so there's something to be said for that. I haven't seen anything strategically bad from him. We'll see what happens. I think the Blues could make the playoffs, but they're more of a dark horse than anything else. I don't think they're getting in. I digress. So we're 8 minutes in, and we haven't talked any football. So let's talk some football, because that's what this is about. We'll get to the Blues later, and again, I'll do a spring training show in spring training. Well, I'm actually going to spring training. I will not be doing a spring training show from spring training. Unless I get some audio, then I'll throw it in. But let's look at, when we last left off with football, I said I'm not predicting anything this year because I'm so bad at it. And guess what I did? I went on to predict the entire NFL standings. Let's take a look at how some of that stacks up against how things really went. Oh, let's see. I'm just logging into my phone here to get the standings. So I said the AFC East that Buffalo would win the division. They, in fact, did. Now, I had New England leapfrogging Miami. I thought Miami overachieved the year before, and New England underachieved, and that with the new coaching staff and whatnot, they would be even better. The New England Patriots were hot garbage. Bill Belichick is gone. Mac Jones was not gone, but benched, not even active, about 3/4 of the way through the season. New England was a dumpster fire, and that makes me sad because I liked Mac Jones, and now we're going to have to see what they do because Bailey Zappi ain't the answer either. He's not. They need someone else. Buffalo had an inconsistent start. Miami was one of the best teams a lot of the year, and Buffalo was able to leapfrog them, so Buffalo and Miami got in. In the North, I had Cincinnati winning it, but that was discounting the Joe Burrow situation. Joe Burrow came back, he wasn't good, went out again, came back, he finally was good, then he got hurt again, and he was done for the year. They finished in last place. I actually had them like as a Super Bowl contender. I had Baltimore second. Baltimore did get in, along with the whole division got in besides Cincinnati. I had Cincinnati and Baltimore. The whole division got in besides Cincinnati. I had Cincy, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. It was Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. In the South, I had Jacksonville winning. They were inconsistent all year and did not make the playoffs. Only Houston got in. I had Jacksonville, Tennessee, Indy, and Houston. It was Houston, Jacksonville, Indy, and Tennessee. I thought Tennessee would be better. They've been good. I thought maybe they'd overcome some of that, but they just didn't. And now their coach is gone. How did the West look, Aaron? Did the Chiefs win again like you predicted? They sure did. We'll talk a long time about the Chiefs in a few moments. So don't worry, we'll go through their whole season. I had the Chargers next in making the playoffs. They did not make the playoffs. They finished last. I had Denver last. They finished third. The Raiders finished second in that division, but tied with Denver. Only the Kansas City Chiefs went to, I almost said the Royals, only the Chiefs went to the playoffs in that division. NFC. Let's see how I did here. Philly, Dallas, Giants, Washington. Well, it was Dallas, Philly, Giants, Washington. And it only was separated by a win in terms of Dallas and Philly. So I got that one pretty right. Dallas looked really good. Dallas looked like a Super Bowl contender most of the year and then fell apart in their playoff game. Philly, I don't know why they fell apart late in the season. I thought they were really good. I'm not really sure what the problem was, but they completely collapsed second half of the season. There was talk about them firing their coach, which I disagree with. I mean, they just went to the Super Bowl. Sometimes you have a bad second half. Let's see. North, Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay. I was wrong on this. I thought Green Bay would be last place because I thought it would take them a year to kind of get their stuff back together. Rookie quarterback, a lot of young receivers. I don't know if they overachieved or if they were just better than we all thought. There's sometimes you'd say overachievement, but no. Minnesota did not do as well because Kirk Cousins got hurt. And Justin Jefferson got hurt. So I'm going to give them a pass. I'll see how they are next year if they re-sign Kirk Cousins. What really happened? Well, Detroit, and I will say that I think the Detroit win on opening night against the Chiefs was part of their season. I know, that sounds obvious, Yogi Berra. What do you mean? I mean, if they don't win that game, I don't think they get off to as good a start as they did. I think beating the defending champions and the current Patriots, so to speak, helped Detroit get their psyche, because they were a very psyche-type team. Look at Dan Campbell, their coach. They a lot of it, 90% of the game is half mental, another Yogiism. They were a very mentally tough team, and I think that win rocketed them to a good start. I'm not taking away from them. I think they're good, but I think it really helped them. So Detroit was first. Green Bay was second. Green Bay looked really good. There was a couple of games where they looked good, and then it just kind of took off. Jordan Love seemed to have figured it out. Their receivers were good. I saw Green Bay and the Chiefs this year in Green Bay, and Green Bay won. They looked good. They looked like a team that knew what they were doing. There was no panic. They looked veteran. They're going to be better next year. And then they took apart Dallas in the playoffs, which was very entertaining. I don't really root against Dallas, but it was entertaining. Then Minnesota, then the Bears, who started horrible. Kind of got it together late in the season after Justin Fields went out in the middle part of the season, came back. I've talked on Sports Radio 101.1 in Peoria ad nauseum about what should the Bears do with Fields. They kept their coach. They fired the coordinators. They lost their defensive staff early in the season due to a lot of different non-football things that we still don't really know about. But they fired Luke Getsy. They kept Matt Eberflus, and we'll see if they keep Justin Fields. I don't know what to say because I'm in camp, keep Fields for another year, because he has the skills that like a Lamar Jackson does. Mentally, he needs to be a little better, but he runs well, he throws well. He's a good player. If you get rid of him, you are getting rid of the five-tool type quarterback. But the quarterback draft is this year. I mean, the year we're going to have all the good quarterbacks, that's this year, and they got the first-round pick again. Because Carolina was the last place team, and the Bears have Carolina's first-round pick from last year. Carolina's probably like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. We just wait a year and get a different guy. So the Bears have their chance. I'm almost in keep Fields. You could say there's two ways of looking at it. On the one side, keep Fields, he has the talent, or he you don't know by year 3, then what's year 4 going to tell you? I don't know. I think they expect a lot of stuff out of people really quickly. There's a lot of pressure in Chicago. I think they're going to trade him, draft a quarterback, and then he's going to be great somewhere else. That's my opinion. The NFC South. Boy, I kind of called this one. I said New Orleans, and then Carolina, Atlanta, and Tampa I had a hard time with because they were all mediocre last year too. I said Tampa last because they went out and signed Baker Mayfield after Tom Brady, and they had troubles with Tom Brady, so why would they be better with Baker Mayfield? But I hemmed and hawed at it a lot, if you remember. I said Tampa could sneak up to that 2 spot. I was convinced New Orleans because I thought Derek Carr was the best quarterback in that entire division. I think they would be the most solid, the least variance. They would be just the most reliable team. I said Tampa could be the last place team or the second place team. I could have even seen them winning the division if everything went right. And sure enough, they won the division. Baker Mayfield played great. He was relaxed. He was comfortable. The offense was good under a new offensive coordinator who's now gone as a head coach. Tampa did what I thought they could but wouldn't do. Now, here's the team that I got wrong. I got Atlanta right because I thought they'd be the 3. I said Carolina was going to be better because I thought their rookie quarterback could do better, but Young, I thought he'd do better, but he didn't. They had a bad year. We'll see if Young's better in year 2, but they were really bad, and I did not see that one coming. I thought they'd be better. I'm starting to feel like I was the only one who thought they'd be better. I don't know. The division I got right entirely was the West. I said San Francisco looks like a team that could compete for the Super Bowl. I thought Brock Purdy's legit. He is a systems quarterback, but he is a good one. He's not elite, but he's not just a second-tier quarterback. He is in the right spot at the right time. And I thought he's enough with the weapons they have, with the defense and the coaching they have, to get to the Super Bowl. Now, I thought, let's see if I have, do I have Super Bowl predict? I don't remember what I said because I didn't write it down. A lot of people wanted to pick Chiefs and Philly. Maybe I picked Chiefs. I think I picked Chiefs to go back to the Super Bowl, or Cincinnati. I might have picked Cincinnati. I think I picked Cincinnati, actually, because I said, well, Chiefs got worse and Cincinnati is probably going to be better. But I said San Francisco was a pretty decent option, and they are. They were good. They had a good year. We'll get into them more in a minute. Then I said Rams, because with Stafford back, I still like McVay and company. Then Seattle, then Arizona, and I was right. I had them from top to bottom: San Francisco, LA, Seattle, Arizona. So here's what I'm doing with my predictions from this season. I'm crumpling them up and I'm throwing them away. And next year, maybe I will just try to predict some division winners, or not. I'm really bad about this prediction stuff. How'd the playoffs go? Well, let's take a look at the playoffs. Let's look at the bracket. Here we go. So let's just walk through the playoffs from top to bottom. I don't know what the schedule was. I'm just looking at the bracket on the Yahoo Sports app. The Houston Texans took apart the Browns 45-14. The Texans and C.J. Stroud looked really good all year. They end up with the 4 seed. Remember, 7 teams make the playoffs. 1 gets a bye in each conference. The Bills took the Steelers apart 31-17. The Steelers were one of the teams that, like there weren't that many teams that shouldn't be in the playoffs. The Steelers were a team in the playoffs because they happened to be that place. They weren't really a playoff team. The Chiefs dismantled the Dolphins 26-7. Like the whole AFC was lopsided in the wild card round. Now I put money on the Chiefs to win the conference and the Super Bowl before the playoffs started because everyone was doubting them. And again, I'll get into the Chiefs season when we get to the Super Bowl matchup. Everyone was doubting them, and the Dolphins were really good. They were as good as a division winner this year. They just didn't win if they win their last game against the Bills, they win the division. If the Bills win their last game, they win the division. The Bills won. So a lot of people thought, the Dolphins they're the favorites, and the Chiefs played them in like minus 30 wind chill weather, and in Kansas City in Arrowhead. And I was like, well, if they can get past the Dolphins, they can get past everyone. Continuing on the AFC side, the Ravens ended up playing the Texans, and the Texans just couldn't run the ball against the Ravens, 34-10. The Ravens had a fantastic season. Yeah, they capitalized on no Joe Burrow in the division, but Lamar Jackson played MVP football all year. They had a great defense, great offense. They looked like a team. I don't like to take the 1 seed all the time, but in this particular case, I do. I said, going into the playoffs, while I was betting on the Chiefs as a good betting prop, it's just like the Patriots, just like the Yankees. It's like, they just get in the playoffs and they get hot. And all the problems from the regular season are gone. I thought the Ravens were the team. They were the only team that the Chiefs played that I was really concerned about. Chiefs played the Bills in the second round in Buffalo. And a lot of people said, well, they're not going to win a game on the road against this Buffalo team that's really good. And the Bills missed a field goal at the end of the game that would have tied the game. So, yeah, Buffalo helped beat themselves. But the Chiefs put themselves in a position to win. I'll get more into some of these matchups and how the Chiefs played when we go into the Chiefs season. Then the Chiefs played the Ravens in the conference championship game and won 17-10. It was a defense fest. They held down Lamar Jackson all night. The best play of the game was Lamar Jackson threw a ball, it got tipped, and he caught it and ran. It was a pass to himself. They allowed 7 points in the first half and 3 points. They allowed 7 points in the first quarter and 3 points in the fourth quarter. Chiefs scored 7, then 10 in the second quarter, and then nothing the rest of the game. It was a defensive war, and they came out on top to win the conference again. Meanwhile, in the NFC, the Packers put up 48 on the Cowboys. The Cowboys ended up scoring 32, actually. But I think a lot of that was garbage time. Second half, let's see. Yeah, so in the first half of that game, it was 27-7. And then the Packers kept scoring in the second half, but then it kind of got, they let up a little. The Lions took down the Rams 24-23. The first playoff game in Detroit in years. Their first playoff win in years. It was exciting. The Buccaneers took apart the Eagles 32-9. So in the wild card round, we have none of the AFC games were close. I know the Steelers ended up with 17 points. It was 31-17, but it was not a close game. And if you watched it, it didn't even look like a close game. It wasn't going to happen. Packers game wasn't close. I know Dallas put up some points later. And then, like I said, the 32-9, the Eagles were never really in it. The Lions game was the only good game of the wild card round. Lions end up beating the Buccaneers in their second home playoff game, 31-23. And that was a pretty close game, but the Lions were just a little bit better. You could feel the Lions were just a little bit better. The Buccaneers were in it, but it wasn't as likely. 49ers 24-21 over the Packers. That was a close game. That one was fun. 49ers ended up coming back. I mean, it was, let's look at the box score. It was 21-14 entering the fourth quarter in favor of Green Bay. And then San Francisco scored a field goal and then a touchdown. And that was a game. So, it was, you could have seen the Packers potentially go to the Super Bowl with this young team that I picked to be last in their division. Conference championship for the NFC side. That was a close one too, 34-31, San Francisco. But San Francisco, it was, okay, the story of this game was, I don't know why I forgot this for the moment. At a halftime, it was 24-7 Lions. 24-7. The Lions scored 31 points for the game. They scored one more time. The 49ers scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight times. Field goal, touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. That's a championship caliber team. The Lions were a good team who deserved to be there. But the 49ers were just better. And there were calls in that game, like, not the referees, but there was a decision not to go for a field goal, to go for it on fourth that Dan Campbell did that didn't work. And it was one of those, at the moment, they were in the lead, and it was inconsequential. But later, if they kicked that field goal, I say if they kick that field goal, that was during the run. That was during the run of points by the 49ers. The game might be tied at the end of the game because it would have been 34-34 potentially. And somebody on the radio made this point. You kill the momentum. You end the momentum of the 49ers by kicking that field goal. Like, okay, we have scored. It is not just points, turnover. It's like, all right, points, we've scored. If you're the 49ers, like, all right, they scored, we have to, that puts a little bit more pressure back on. But alas, the 49ers won, and we have Chiefs and 49ers in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are the supposed home team, even though there's no home teams. The AFC gets the even-numbered Super Bowls, not years, Super Bowls. So, 58. I hope I didn't say 48 at the beginning of this recording. It's Super Bowl 58. I'll have to go back and listen to that when I'm done recording. But it's Super Bowl 58, LVIII. Chiefs were the road team last year. Chiefs have chosen to wear their red jerseys. 49ers will wear white. That'll be the same as 54 a few years ago when they played in Miami. Same two teams. Chiefs ended up winning that game. They came back from a 10-point deficit. The Chiefs have worn let's see, I have a tweet. Let me find it. I have the history of the Chiefs jerseys in the Super Bowl. I just have to find where it is on my Twitter feed because that's where I wrote it down. All right. Here's what I wrote back on January 30th. Home reds for the Chiefs. They won Super Bowl 4 and 54 wearing red, and then won 57 last year in white. They lost Super Bowl 1 in white and Super Bowl 55 in red. So they are 2-1 in red, losing to Tom Brady of all people, and they're 1-1 in white. So if you're superstitious, you could say, well, the Chiefs have had better luck in the reds, and they lost to Tom Brady in the red, so who cares? But there's also the whole white jersey jinx, curse, whatever. It's actually a positive. The team in the white jersey seems to have won more often, for what it's worth. I don't think it applies here to the Chiefs. I don't think there's a problem with them wearing the reds. I know the Patriots chose to wear white in Super Bowl 52 after winning the year before in white. The Patriots won 49 in white, 51 in white, lost 52 in white, and then won 53 in white. Before that, they had lost in the Giants wearing blue in Super Bowl 42 and 46, and then it goes back to the early Brady years where they won 2 in blue and 1 in white. So there's people who believe in all these teams that have won wearing the white jerseys over the last several years. It's a long time, actually. It goes back a ways. There's not a lot of teams that have won wearing the colors. I want to say the Packers, and let's see, Super Bowl 42, 43, 44, 45 was the Packers, 46, 47, I think the Ravens were wearing white, 48, 49, 50, 51, yeah, I think, and then the Buccaneers chose to wear white in 55. So you have the Packers in Super Bowl 45, the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54, and then, yeah, going back a ways, that's Colts won it in 42. I don't know what the Steelers wore in Super Bowl 40. I don't know if they were wearing white or black. I can't remember. I think they were wearing white. And then Super Bowl 39, Patriots wore in white. And then the other, I don't remember who wore what in Super Bowl 38, but 36 and 37, Patriots wore blue. So a lot of the teams have worn white recently in the last few decades at this point, and won. So I digress. Chiefs are wearing red, 49ers are wearing white. Both teams have won and lost in those colors. Well, I'm going to take a quick time out here and get my stuff together, and we will talk about the two teams' seasons and preview the Super Bowl. And I don't want to make a prediction, but I think I'm obligated to tell you who I have money on. So we'll be right back here on StraussNet Sports Radio. Welcome back to StraussNet Sports Radio, Super Bowl 58 edition. The San Francisco 49ers will take on the Kansas City Chiefs in less than a week. It is Super Bowl opening night tonight. I like doing this show on the Media Day. It used to be Media Day. It used to be Super Bowl Media Day. They do it during the daytime, actually, and really only the media was allowed to attend, and it kind of became a thing. I think in Indianapolis for Super Bowl 46, they started selling like $20 tickets for people to get into the stadium and watch. And now there's this whole big shebang where they do it in one of the arenas in town. They go up on the stage, they talk, everyone can hear them. It's an event. It's fun. Women in wedding dresses show up and ask Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or whoever to marry them. We get weird questions. You get the fun ones too. It's a thing. It's on NFL Network and ESPN. I just like watching it. So let's see. Let's look at the two teams and how their seasons went. I'm not gonna bury the lead. I bet on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl to start the playoffs at plus 1,000 through FanDuel. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I have money on the Chiefs. I still was going to put money on the Chiefs again because as soon as the matchup was set, they were plus 120. It's down to like plus 106 or something. Let's actually look because Yahoo Sports uses BetMGM. But since I've been going to my local casino has a FanDuel sports book and I've been using them. Tim, who's usually on the show, he's busy today. He uses another sports book. So let's see. Right now, the Chiefs are plus 110, actually, on FanDuel. I hear Circa's got the best. It's interesting because it's in Vegas, so all about the betting. Minus 130 for San Francisco. Now, no pun intended, I would wager San Francisco's the favorite because they're a 1 seed. They're a 1 seed. They've played fewer games than the Chiefs. Chiefs have the better quarterback. 49ers have had... I don't know if the 49ers have had a more complete season. Let's look at the Chiefs first, the supposed home team. After Juju Smith-Schuster signed with the Patriots and another year removed from Tyreek Hill, players like, let's look at the roster, Isaiah Pacheco leading the running back room with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We'll see if Jerick McKinnon gets activated for this or not. I don't know if he will. The passing back, although Clyde Edwards-Helaire has done a good job, I am curious. Let's see. Let's go to the old tweet box and find out. Jerick McKinnon. Here we go. All right, Twitter. Let's see what it says. We're looking live. Brad Hansen believes, I honestly believe, Jerick McKinnon is going to play in the Super Bowl until we get final word. And enjoy this video. Yeah. Let's see. Very real chance he plays. He's a groin injury. It's very real chance. I know. Sorry about the hemming and hawing while getting this loaded, but it's worth it now. Groin, but a lot of people think he's going to be activated for the Super Bowl. And that'd be interesting because Clyde Edwards-Helaire has played really well, but McKinnon is still the better receiving back. Oh, hey, it's the anniversary of Super Bowl 51, Patriots-Atlanta today. That's cool. Oh, Twitter. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon are the backup backs to Isaiah Pacheco, who's had a great season. Mahomes, obviously, your quarterback. The wide receiver room, let's start the year with who's the number one receiver? Is it Kadarius Toney? That was answered really quickly that no, he is not. Kadarius Toney is not the number one receiver. Had a lot of drops. Let's look at Twitter for that. Let's see. He's been out, too. So let's see if he's going to play. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything that tells me he is or isn't going to play. There's a lot of people making jokes. There's a lot of people saying that having him active could be helpful. But I don't have any good Kadarius Toney news. I have a lot of me spelling Kadarius Toney wrong on Twitter while I was looking for that. Rashee Rice became the number one receiver pretty quickly. He was really good. He's a rookie. You have Justin Watson, Toney, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They did bring McCole Hardman in. We'll see who all's active. I think they're going to stick to what they've done. Obviously, you have the tight ends. Kelsey and Gray's been pretty good. Blake Bell's their third tight end. What the Chiefs have done over the years, so their biggest problem all year was drops. And it feels like Mahomes maybe wasn't quite as accurate as he'd been. And even Kelsey was dropping some balls. But Tony had some really important drop passes. Marquez Valdez-Scantling dropped one. I mean, it's just been... The whole year was they're just not linking up. They're just not as good. They don't have enough pieces. And the whole year was kind of, well, if they get in the playoffs, they're dangerous because been there, done that. And that's what they've done so far. And what they've done since the playoffs, it was almost like a ruse. Like the whole year was mediocre. They were good, not great. And they had some good games. They reeled off. We'll go through their schedule too. But since they've gotten to the playoffs, they've simplified everything. Run the ball. They've had the 2 running backs because McKinnon's been hurt. He'll probably play is what it looks like. We'll see how they use him versus Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It could be where these are the 2 guys that have gotten the job done, so they'll keep using them as the main guys, and McKinnon's just also there. They'll throw to Rice. They'll throw to Kelsey. So Pacheco, Rice, Kelsey. Watson, Valdez-Scantling did catch a pass at the end of the Ravens game to secure the first down that would allow them to kneel the game out. So that was interesting because it was almost like the forgiveness there, the redemption catch. Tony's been out a few weeks. I don't know if you play him or not. He's a really good player. The other problem they had was they had that game against the Bills where Tony did catch a pass, and then Kelsey caught a pass and then threw it to Tony for a touchdown. And he went from legend to GOAT real fast because apparently he was lined up like a foot off sides, so they called the playback. And that started this whole discussion of, did he check in? Did he not check in? Should it, if it's an offsides that doesn't affect the play, should it matter? Because it really didn't. He was like an inch or 2 or a foot on the little painted line, digitally painted line, and the snap goes, and it's like he's not getting a foot ahead. So should that have been let go or not, or should they have just called it as soon as the play got snapped? I don't know. I digress. But in the playoffs, they've simplified it. They've gone to, here are guys. This is who's getting the ball. We're going to run a little more. And Mahomes has been playoff Mahomes. So it'll be interesting to see if they change things up by adding McKinnon and Tony back to the mix. If I had to guess, Tony won't be active, but McKinnon might. And then they'll keep with the rotation they've been running. So we'll see. Schedule. So they lose that game against Detroit on opening night because of a dropped pass at the end of the game. There were drop passes all night. All night there were drop passes. But Tony could have caught one that would have sent them into field goal range. They lose 21-20. Then they reel off 6 straight wins. And it was, they started the year winning 8 of 11. They win against Detroit, beat Jacksonville on the road, destroy the Bears at home. They beat the Jets, barely. They beat the Vikings, barely. They beat Denver pretty good. They beat the Chargers. They lost to Denver pretty good. They beat Miami. Then their bye week. And this is where the second half of the season kind of happened, where after the bye week, they went 4 and 4. They went 4-4 down the stretch. So from November 20th onward. So before their, let's see, 4, 7, 8, 9. So of their first 9 games, they won 4, 5, 6, 7. They won 7 of their first 9. Of their last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they went 4-4. They lost to Philadelphia. That's another situation where they had it was a 21-17 loss. So they had Marquez Valdez-Scantling catch the ball and roll into the end zone, but lose the ball. So they lost that one. They should have won it. They beat the Raiders. They play Green Bay. I was at this game. They lose 27-19. That one, I don't think they played that bad. There was a talk of a really bad pass interference call that wasn't called on Green Bay. I just felt like they didn't stop Green Bay from getting first downs. Like they could have had more opportunities. Then the Buffalo game where Tony lined up and they would have won that game if he had been a foot back. They win that game. They kick the crap out of New England like everybody else did this year. They lose to Vegas on Christmas Day, 20-14, and they looked embarrassing. And that was the last loss of the season. That kind of was, well, they should beat these guys. They're playing a backup quarterback, and they looked like trash. Interceptions, turnovers. That was kind of where everyone said, oh, they're not going anywhere. They can't beat this team. Well, they end up beating Cincinnati with a backup quarterback, and then everybody's backups win on. That was on New Year's Eve, and then everyone's backups win on the last week of the season. Didn't matter. They were locked in as a 3. No one played, so forget that last Charger game. She go into the playoffs saying they're not playing all that great, and now they have to play Miami. Well, they kicked the crap out of Miami. Buffalo. They beat Buffalo in a back-and-forth game. They beat Baltimore in a defensive war, and now they get San Francisco. I said going into the Baltimore game, everybody at work was saying, they're not going to beat Baltimore. Baltimore's the best team. No one's beating Baltimore. Their defense is too good. Their offense is too good. And I said, okay, but if the Chiefs win, well, they won't. But if they do, are either the NFC teams any better? Like, they're not going to play a better team. No, they're not, is what people said. You're right about that. If they miraculously beat Baltimore, they're not going to play a better team than they've already faced. So that's kind of where I was with the bet, and that was before the Miami game. I put $40 down, 20 to win the conference at plus like 490, and 20 to win the Super Bowl at plus 1,000. So it was a futures. It wasn't per game, and I don't have anything on the Super Bowl itself, but I would take the Chiefs at plus money. I still might do it, but I'm kind of thinking about doing it in a plus. We'll get to betting in a moment. We'll get to the props and all that. I'm thinking about it in terms if they get plus and back up to that plus 115, plus 120. I could take them. I don't think they will though. I think as more information comes out, it's only going to get more even. The other way of looking at it is I could take San Francisco at enough plus money where I would cover reverse the betting calculator. I want to win $20. How much do I have to bet to win $20? Which would give me my $20 back from the first bet. I don't know. I probably won't do that. I could have hedged my bet with the Diamondbacks, and I bet on the Rangers to win the World Series. I had them to win the league and the World Series. Same situation. I did it before the playoffs when they were at their worst, and I said, oh, they can still do this, and they won. I thought about doing it with the Diamondbacks, but I didn't. Because if I bet on the Diamondbacks after game, I want to say 2, where they were even. Diamondbacks were getting a lot of plus money. And I was like, well, if they win, I could cover my own bet. But I didn't. I had the feeling, and I just stayed with it. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do here. So that's the Chiefs. The Chiefs had a great first half. Even if they didn't look like a complete team, they were still good enough to be winning these games. It was kind of like, well, they're playing with their food, is the term that a lot of people were using. They're not finishing opponents off. And then in the second half of their season, that bit them. They didn't do as good a job as they could have. But in the playoffs, they've looked like the Chiefs of old. They have found the formula to win. The defense has been great. And I think they can win this Super Bowl. San Francisco. Let's look at their roster. You obviously have Brock Purdy. No more Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo. It's Brock Purdy's team. He had a pretty good year. He was hurt in the middle of the year. Let's see. When did he? Let's go game log. Well, maybe he did play all the games. I thought he was hurt in the middle of the year at some point. I don't know. He had a couple of rough games, but he was healthy all year. I thought maybe he was out. Christian McCaffrey is the MVP of this team. You have one of the elite running backs of the league, maybe the best one, probably the best one. Elijah Mitchell is their second running back. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings. Deebo Samuel missed. Where is this? Game log. Deebo Samuel missed some time at the end of the year, postseason. He only played the last game of the postseason. He did not. No, he was in the Green Bay game. So they got the bye. They were the number 1 overall team. I'm looking for a third game. Like, where's this third game at? There's no third game. They only played the division of the conference. So he had 2 targets on 2 receptions in the game against Green Bay and got hurt. And they didn't think maybe he'd play against the Lions. I keep trying to say the Detroit Tigers. Like, it's all cats there. He did play against Detroit. 8 of 9 targets for 89 yards. No touchdowns on the playoffs. He did rush for 7 yards on 3 attempts in that game. So Deebo Samuel should be good to go. He played last week. He should be fine. I was impressed by Brandon Ayuk as well. He did not do. He was good. He had 68 yards in that last game. Tight ends, you obviously have George Kittle. I mean, look at this offense. People think about their defense, but you have Brock Purdy. This is the thing about Brock Purdy. This is where you can have a good, not elite quarterback, is if you have weapons. You have Chris McCaffrey, who can catch the ball, all those receivers, and Kittle. That's a good team. That's a great offense. I talked about how I thought Mac Jones was a good quarterback. Well, he never had any weapons. That's not to say Mac Jones was the answer still, but put Mac Jones on this team, I think he'd be a little better than he was. I did lose faith in him as the year went on. I carried a torch for that guy for a long time. Brock Purdy's the real deal, and he's very mentally tough, and things don't bother him. I think he's legit. I think for all the people like, he's not a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. I wouldn't put him up there with Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Burrow, but he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's worse than a Jordan Love. I don't know if he's better or worse than a Dak Prescott or Kirk Cousins because he hasn't played that long. So it's hard to judge a guy based on just that. And then their defense is good. So let's look at how their season went. Well, they got off to a heck of a start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight wins against Pittsburgh, Rams, Giants, Arizona, and Dallas. Pittsburgh wasn't a good team this year. The Rams were. Giants weren't a good team. Cardinals weren't a good team. Dallas was. And they killed Dallas, 42-10. They won 30-23 over the Rams. So those first 5 wins, and people did this. They discounted the first 5 wins because of the teams they played. But they beat the 2 that mattered. So there you go. Then they had a 3-game losing streak. So they were streaky this year. They lost to Cleveland, Minnesota, and Cincinnati. Let's look at that game. Let's see. Joe Burrow played in that game. So it was Joe Burrow. They didn't lose to the Jake Browning Cincinnati Bengals. They lost to Joe Burrow. Then they get a bye week. And this is the point where people are going, well, they won these 5 games, but they lost 3 against teams that were perceived as good. Well, what are they? Well, and this is while the Eagles were still the number 1 team in the league. Well, they answered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight wins. 7 of their last 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of their last 9. I'm sorry. 7 of their last 9. 7 of 8. They lost their last game of the season. They ripped off the 6 straight wins, lost a game. Let's just go through it. They beat Jacksonville. They beat Tampa, playoff team. They beat Seattle, playoff contender. 42-19 against Philly, one of the other top teams in the league. Seattle, they beat. Arizona, bad team. They lost 33-19 to Baltimore. Then they beat Washington. Then they lost by 1 point on the last day of the season of the Rams. Who played in that game? Sam Darnold and Carson Wentz. So, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It wasn't your starting quarterback. Neither team played their starting quarterbacks. So, you can watch that game. Just like the win for the Chiefs at the end of the year, watch that. So, if you don't count that last win, they won 7 of their last 8 and then lost their finale with all the backups in. You lost to Baltimore. That was the only loss you had in the quote-unquote second half of the season. Aside from the Rams game. The only meaningful loss is the Baltimore loss. Like I said, best team in the league, Baltimore. So they went on they were a streaky team. They lost 3 games in the middle of the year and won almost every other game. They have not played the Chiefs this year. I do not have their schedule last year in front of me. Let's find out. Let's see if I can find that. San Francisco 49ers 2022 schedule. Let's see if they've got that up. Let's click this. Pro football schedules. Let's see what they did. This is not loading at all. So it's not helping me. Where's foot? There we go. This will help. ProFootballReference.com. This will do the trick. They were really good last year. Man, they were good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wins to end the season. Jeez, I didn't even realize they were that good. Did they play Kansas City? They did play Kansas City early in the season. They lost to the Chiefs. That was probably a Jimmy Garoppolo presentation as opposed to Brock Purdy. So there's that. They had a good year. They had a good year this year. This is a really deep team. It's a lot deeper offensive team than the Chiefs are, because you've got, McCaffrey versus Pacheco. You're taking McCaffrey. Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are probably better than most of the Chiefs receivers, not named Rashee Rice. There are people who I think Rice is better than Ayuk. Maybe, I don't know. Rice is young, so it's hard to say. But they've got more receivers, and Deebo Samuel's better than any receiver on the Chiefs. Kittle versus Kelsey, so they've each got a tight end. Chiefs have the quarterback, so it should be a good matchup. I do think the Chiefs can win this. I think the 49ers can win this. It'll be interesting to watch. Kyle Shanahan's seen this team. They were in the Super Bowl a few years together. It'll be interesting to see how they game plan for this. And it'll be interesting to see if they talk about. Someone's going to ask it. Someone's going to say tonight, to both teams, with how things went 2 years ago. That was the 2019 Super Bowl in the year 2020. It's 24, so yeah, it's 4 years later. That was Super Bowl 54. It's 58. Do the math. Chiefs are in the Raiders locker room, by the way. Someone's going to ask, well, since you played 4 years ago, how are you changing your game plan? Well, the teams are completely different. That's how. Don't remember if Christian McCaffrey was on that team or not. I'm curious now. Christian McCaffrey. And I want to know the teams you've been on. Christian McCaffrey. He was on the Panthers until 2022. So, yeah, obviously he wasn't on the team last time. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. I thought it was only last year. So, yeah. So, there's the two teams. I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm biased, though. My buddy Tim is not taking the Chiefs. He wants to see somebody else win. I think he thinks that he's with the rest of the world. The Chiefs aren't as good as they once were. They've, in a way, lucked their way through the playoffs. They're good, but they have had some luck. When we come back, we're into one final segment, and that is the really stupid fun one. Betting. I'm going to look up and see if I can find some prop bets for us. I don't know if they're all on FanDuel or not, but we're going to find some. I'll be right back here on StraussNet Sports Radio. Welcome back to StraussNet Sports Radio, Super Bowl 58 edition. We're going to get into the betting part. I told you that I have money on the Chiefs as a futures bet from before the playoffs at plus 1,000. I already won winning the conference bet at plus 490. I have not doubled down or hedged. I think I'm just going to sit tight with that. At this moment, via FanDuel, I usually use Yahoo Sports and BetMGM, and this is not sponsored at all. I am just telling you what I'm using. I am not being paid to use any of these services. I use Yahoo Sports as my app on my phone, and that's what they usually have. And in fact, I will pull it up so that we can have both odds, just so we can have fun with it. Where's the game? But I've started using FanDuel Sports because they have a sports book at my local casino, and it's fun to go do it in person sometimes. So, let's start with the simplest part. The game. Money line. KC plus 110 on BetMGM, minus 130. Over on FanDuel, it's plus 110, minus 130. Spread's 2.5. It's actually a flat 2 on BetMGM. It's 2.5 on FanDuel. And the over-under, that's interesting. So you could actually have a tie. I'm really curious what Tim's website has, but it's been changing so much. Like the Chiefs were down to plus 106. They were actually both tied. They were both 100 at one point. Like it got all the way down to even. The spread on MGM is 47.5. It is 47.5 on FanDuel. It'll be very fun to see all the betting. It's in Vegas, so not that Vegas is never not involved, but it has got to be wild there. Let's see if we have any props from BetMGM. A lot of it's point. Now, when I say prop bets, there's two different ways to look at that. Prop bets are like if you say Patrick Mahomes is going to score a touchdown running, that's a prop bet. But if you say Yeah, there's a lot of like spreads and stuff. If you also say, what's the coin toss going to be, that's a more commonly known Super Bowl prop bet. So prop bets are just that things are going to happen. It's not a score. It's what is going to happen. How is it going to happen? But when you think of the Super Bowl, you think of crazy stuff. So there's nothing extra on BetMGM that I'm going to go over. So I'm going to close that out, and I will review real quick. But we're going to go back to FanDuel. So FanDuel plus 110 for Chiefs, minus 130 for 49ers. 2.5 spread, plus 115, minus 115 Chiefs, minus 105 49ers. Over under, minus 110 both ways is 47.5. So we're on FanDuel now again, permanently. So you can have the scoring prop bets, anytime touchdown. Means just have to score a touchdown. Doesn't matter how. Doesn't matter whether they're catching, throwing. You have McCaffrey, Pacheco, Kelsey, Samuel, Rice, Ayuk. I bet you Mahomes is on there somewhere because he could run for one. McCaffrey is the worst odds, minus 220. So you have to bet $220 to get $100 out of that. You have to bet $22 to get... you have to bet minus 220. You have to bet 220 to get 100. So I have to bet 22 to get a $10 bill back. You can have game specials. Christian McCaffrey running for 35 yards in each half. Kelsey receiving 25 in each half. Pacheco 30 in each half. MVP odds. The quarterbacks are always the favorites. And I think this is actually a good list. Plus 135 for Mahomes. He's the worst odds. He is or worst or best. I don't know what the verbiage is there. He has... The top player is Mahomes at plus 135. You win the least amount of money if you are right with Mahomes. Purdy is plus 200. So that's interesting to me because I guess then McCaffrey comes up at plus 450. So you could look at it as if the Chiefs win, take Mahomes to win the MVP. If the 49ers win, you could actually take McCaffrey or Brock Purdy because McCaffrey's a better player than Brock Purdy. The next player, so remember I said McCaffrey was the next with the plus 450. Travis Kelsey at plus 1,700. Deebo Samuel plus 2,000. Pacheco plus 3,500. You could put Chris Jones or someone like that in there, a defensive player. That's hard to judge, but I think we had Von Miller win. Julian Edelman won in Super Bowl 53. That was fun because I'm an Edelman fan. We have first touchdown scorer. McCaffrey's got the best odds for I guess it'd be best odds for that. He's the most likely player to score 2 touchdowns. Once again, Christian McCaffrey. You can bet on the correct score. 49ers 10 and Chiefs 7 is the first one that are listed. These are wild. These aren't even in like odds. It's just like, we could do this. You have parlays, alternate spreads. Alternate spread would be Kansas City Chiefs minus 1.5. So the Chiefs are the underdog, so they usually get the plus points. Well, you can take the Chiefs minus points, like they're going to win by a lot, or the 49ers at plus points, and you would have to pay more for that. Let's see, alternate totals, point totals. Yeah, these are so you're getting into some stuff there. Well, this is just Super Bowl. Let's go to, you can do touchdown scoring, game props, player props, matchup, passing, receiving. You can get into next year's Super Bowl specials already. Let's do this Super Bowl special. All right, so FanDuel Super Bowl 58 specials. Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy combined for 50 rushing yards, plus 150. Chris Jones and Nick Bosa both record a half a sack each, plus 290. That's like a slam dunk for me. Neither of those guys are going to get a sack. They're saying that both of them are going to get a sack. Super Bowl 54 repeat. San Francisco 49ers to score 0 points in fourth quarter. McCaffrey to score 2 rushing touchdowns. McCaffrey to score 1 or more rushing touchdown and receiving touchdown. McCaffrey, Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle combined for 300-plus yards, and so on and so on. So those are the traditional prop bets. Let's get into the non-traditional. Let's get into the fun stuff. Coin toss is at minus 104 both ways. They say tails never fails, but I like heads. I always call heads. You can do coin toss winner, minus 104 each, and a lot of this stuff is just like set. Win coin toss and the game. Coin toss winner wins the game, yes or no. Team to receive opening kickoff. And a lot of these are minus 104. The win coin toss and game are different. That's plus 320 for Chiefs, plus 260 for 49ers. Gatorade color. This is a fun one. They always do. What would the Gatorade color be for the first Gatorade? Not this. So like immediately, there's no the bets are void if there's no Gatorade shower on the winning coach. So they just get your money back. Yellow, lime, or green at plus 380. Purple at plus 380. You get a lot of that. Where it's interesting they combine yellow or green. I don't think you get. I think they probably had yellow, and then I don't think Gatorade does green. I think Gatorade really just like red, blue, purple, white, orange. So I think they covered that up so in case like it gets watered down or whatever and it turns green. You get purple 380, water or clear. So if you get the white Gatorade, it could be water plus 1,000. Orange plus 240. Those are the lowest. That's the lowest number there. Blue at plus 430 and red or pink at plus 490. I think I've seen I've seen purple. I think I've seen the most orange or blue, honestly. Yellow, so the lowest number is orange, then yellow, then blue. I'm sorry, orange, yellow, or purple, then blue. Will there be a scoregami? So a unique final score that has never happened in NFL history. Plus 2,500 for yes, minus 1,000 for no. Final score to have happened in a previous Super Bowl. Yes, plus 410. No, minus 590. Let's keep going. Any player going to score an octopus? Plus 980 for yes, minus 2,500 for no. We had one of those last year. That is if you score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion on the same drive. But it has to be the same player. So last year, Jalen Hurts ran into the end zone, and then he ran into the end zone for the 2-point conversion. My wife won money off of one of those. I think she bet on it again. Mahomes would be the character for that this year, although Purdy has some legs. Purdy is... We're finding out that he can run a little, so I don't think it's out of the question, but I don't think it's likely, and neither of these two teams are big 2-point teams. Last year you had the Eagles, which were an analytics team, going after it. Fastest offensive ball carrier, next-gen stats. Player to have the most yards after catch. Player to have the longest air yards. Those are all the Super Bowl specials listed on FanDuel. I'm not taking any of these right now. Usually I text back with Tim and say, hey, take this. I would take heads. I like National Anthem over under 2 minutes. I'd like to know who's... I'd like to know who it is. I'd probably take it. Let's try this. Alexa, who's singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl?
Good afternoon, Aaron. Reba McEntire will perform the national anthem at the 2024 Super Bowl.
She said Reba McEntire. I don't know if you could hear that, but Alexa said Reba McEntire. Alexa, stop. Now it thinks I'm talking to it again. The murder bot in the room. Fun fact, you can change the command word, and I thought about changing it to murderbot. Anyway, I digress. Reba McEntire. So, over under 2 minutes. I almost think with Reba, you might take the under. Some of these pop singers are easy overs. I remember a couple years ago, it was like Demi Lovato, and she got to like 1 minute and 58 seconds. Although I do 2 minutes. I want to say the bet that year was like 2 minutes and 15. Like they pushed it. It's like, oh, well, it's easy to go over 2 minutes, but can you get it here? And I think she missed it by like a couple of seconds. So I'm still taking the over usually because they have the band. Like when does the clock start too? That's gotten into recent discussion. At the Super Bowl they start the music, the background music, and then the person sings along with it. Does the clock start when the music plays or from when the first words are sung? I'd have to go with when the music starts. But again, I don't run any sports books in Vegas, so I can't say what it really is. I'd have to double check on that one. I'll be sure to ask if I get in touch with anyone on that. There's, usually will there be a wardrobe malfunction for halftime show? It's Usher. I think there's probably going to be there's usually will a expletive be uttered on national television on the halftime show. Now, there have been years where, like, I know they asked the Rolling Stones if they could bleep a word, because everything's on delay. They run it through the truck gets to edit stuff as they go, and then they send it out. Especially the halftime show as opposed to the actual game. You can slow that down because of commercials and get it and run it. That's not necessarily live. So you can there have been bleeps or mutes where they cut the audio for a half a second. I don't think that's going to happen. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about I'm sorry, I mean that's not going to happen. That's not what we're talking about here. So we're not talking about things that have been intentionally bleeped, like we know this is coming in this song, and we're going to cut the audio when they say such and such. This is, they keep going, and they say something, or like, F yeah, Vegas, and, no one catches it, no one's expecting it. It's happened, and there's a prop bet on if that happens or not. So, I don't know if there's going to be a prop bet if there's a guest. I don't know who's going to be the guest. It might have already been announced, and I'm just not paying enough attention to the halftime show. There are prop bets on number of commercials, or when we get whichever, when's the Victoria's Secret ad going to run, because there always is one with Valentine's Day coming up. So yeah, there's some fun prop bets. Go out there, look for them. I don't know where to find them all the time. Last year we had that. Some of the casinos have them. My FanDuel page did not have the stupid stuff, like the non-game stuff, besides what I read you, like Coin Flip and Gatorade. They didn't have all the commercial and halftime show and anthem, but it's there. Maybe that stuff shows up in the days before. Like, if I go on Thursday or Friday, maybe those will be there on my website on FanDuel, but they're not. So, anyway, that's the betting side. I've told you I have money on the Chiefs from a futures bet. I'm not probably going back to the casino for anything. And here's hoping the Chiefs win another Super Bowl. And even if they don't, no matter which of these teams wins, I think it's more important for San Francisco, because they haven't won in the recent years. And the Chiefs have become the new Patriots recently. Where do they go from here, Aaron? Well, San Francisco, win or lose, is going to ride behind Brock Purdy. They got a good team. They got a good coaching staff. They're gonna be a threat again next year to go back to the Super Bowl. Just like the Eagles were. The Eagles were a threat. I don't care what their second half was. They were a good team. The Chiefs, we'll see if they pick anyone up. Chris Jones had a contract dispute at the beginning of the year. We'll see if he's free agent or not. I think the Chiefs are going to get better next year because they'll be able to add more young talent to their receiver core, maybe sign someone. But I wouldn't expect them to go away. There's people who think, this is the end of their era. They've turned into the Patriots. The Patriots, everyone wanted to see them win, and then everyone wants to see them lose. And everyone wants to see the Chiefs beat the Patriots. And then, now that the Chiefs have won a Super Bowl and replaced the Patriots, like, all right, get out of here. People just want to see it. It's funny, I started this podcast with, we don't want the Yankees or the Dodgers. We're sick of them. Okay, here's Texas. No one cares about Texas and Arizona. We want something more exciting. People don't know what they want. So that's the Super Bowl. I think both teams are good. I think it's going to be a fun one. I'm hoping there's no blowout in either side. I will be happy with the Chiefs regardless. As many of you know, I'm a Patriots fan, and I followed the Buccaneers while Brady was there. I switched to I'm still a Patriots fan, but I adopted the Chiefs. I'd been thinking about adopting the Chiefs for a while now as St. Louis started following them, but I really jumped on last year before they went to the Super Bowl. And if you want to call me a bandwagon fan, great. It's more because the city of St. Louis is following them than anything else. It's not, they didn't have to go to the Super Bowl last year. I probably would have still started following them this year. It doesn't matter. I like Mahomes. I like their team. I like that they're being associated with where my family's from. So I'm excited that I finally got to see my first NFL game this season. It was cool that it was them. I hope someday to still see the Patriots. But here's what we do know. Tonight's media night. I forgot. I completely forgot. There are prop bets on whether or not Taylor Swift's going to be there because she has a concert on the other side of the planet the day before. And there are prop bets on if Kelsey's going to propose after the game to Taylor Swift. So stay frosty on that one. For the record, I don't have any problem with all the Taylor Swift stuff. I do get sick of the distractions from football, but everybody who's like, well, they shouldn't show her. She's an attention whore. No, they're showing her because they're gaining money by showing her to people who don't really care about football. So just leave it be. Yeah, it's extra noise, but it doesn't bother me that much. Anyway, here's what we do now. Next year, the Chiefs and the 49ers will still be good. I don't know if Andy Reid's going to retire or not. I don't think he is, honestly. I don't think Bill Belichick should be the one to replace him either. But in a few days, we will have Super Bowl 58. It is practically a national holiday. We will enjoy it one way or the other. Both teams should be honored to be there, just like I say about every championship. Be honored to be there. Enjoy it. If you're a fan of either of these teams, enjoy it. Win or lose. You got there. It's an honor. If you're a Chiefs fan especially, even if they lose, just enjoy that they went. And then as a player, yeah, you want to get back there. But as a fan, it's like, hey, they won last year. They weren't supposed to. They're in it this year. They really weren't supposed to. And come back at it next year. And then in 2 days, we start spring training. And baseball is back. And that is my strong suit. And we make our way towards the hockey playoffs. I bought the Red Sox spring training hat today. I am ready. I'm ready for spring training. I'm going down to spring training, as I said earlier. Like, I'm excited every week for these Chiefs playoff games, but I am ready for spring training. Palm trees and baseball is in my mind. I will talk more about what I think the Cardinals should or shouldn't do on a spring training episode. I will do that in March. There will be no hiatus. I will be doing a spring training episode with my dad, Mark Strauss, and Tim, or at least I'll be doing one. Hopefully we'll have one or both of those guys on to talk about where we think things are. I think the Cardinals are better than they were. I think it's going to be fun. I'm tired of being a negative fan about them. I'm going to enjoy my team and hope that they're better. I'm disappointed in the Red Sox, but guess what? I still like them. So happy Super Bowl to everyone, and I will see you from sunny Florida and palm trees and baseballs, baseball bats, baseball gloves. This has been StraussNet Sports Radio. Go Chiefs!
God bless catastrophe, but there's no way in hell we'll never live to see through this. So drop yourself insane tonight. It's not that far away, and I just filled up your tank earlier today. Yeah. It's not that far away, and I just filled up your tank.